Informed.
We have 10 teams tonight.
Sports Extra Cayman Islands.
So a young team full of talent, full of desire to do good things.
We've had some success with the outdoor league being restarted.
Alrighty, good evening and welcome to Radio Cayman Sports Extra. I'm your host, Dionne Anglin. We have quite an interesting show here for us today. We're going to talk with members of the Cayman Athletics Association. It's just Cayman Athletics now, right?
Cayman Islands Athletics.
Cayman Islands Athletics Association. So in the first segment, we'll hear from the president, Mr. Delroy Murray, and first vice president, Mr. Osbert Francis, here to my right. They will be addressing some recent accusations that were made against them by one of our Carifta medalists, Lacey Barnes-Riley, regarding a recent Carifta incident. And then, of course, they're going to be discussing the recent performance of Carifta athletes over the Easter break. In our second segment, we will hear from the three-time Carifta gold medalist, Lacey Barnes herself, where she will fully explain her experience and her feelings about the matter. All right, so as I said, it's a very interesting show. Gentlemen, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm really glad you're here to clear the air and give your side of the story. Good evening to you.
Good evening. Thanks for having us.
No problem. Anytime. But we're going to take a short break first. And then when we get back, we'll get right into it, okay? Stay tuned to Radio Cayman Sports Extra.
System 1 loaded.
For the record, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings from 7:30 to 9:30, we interview the various government ministers, opposition, and Cayman Island legislators. For the record is brought to you by West Bay Pharmacy at Centennial Towers. Visit us today for fast, efficient, and professional service. Everything you need and the hours you need it at West Bay Pharmacy.
When you have a sports or fitness-related injury, trust the expertise of the HSA Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic to get you back in the game. Our internationally trained and certified physicians specialize in sports traumatology, sports medicine, pain management, and orthopedic surgery. For treatment of common injuries such as tendonitis, arthritis, tennis elbow, rotator cuff, or knee tears, schedule a consultation with the Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic at Smith Road Medical Center by calling 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky for more information.
Many of us know someone or have experienced sexual harassment and can attest to the devastating effects. Doesn't matter age, gender, or sexual orientation. It can happen to anyone. Having laws that help prevent sexual harassment helps ensure that all employees and customers feel safe and are treated with dignity and respect. Everyone should understand their rights and feel empowered to utilize the protection afforded to them. This is why your feedback matters. To join the conversation, visit www.gov.ky/sexual harassment. All responses are anonymous and are used to improve and clarify concepts, procedures, or provisions of the bill. The public consultation period ends on April 15th, 2023.
Oh, Cayman moon.
The voice of the Cayman Islands, Radio Cayman.
Shining down from above.
We love our listeners.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Alrighty, welcome back to Radio Cayman Sports Extra. As mentioned previously, Cayman Athletics President Delroy Murray and First Vice President Mr. Osbert Francis. Okay, so for those of you who are unaware, I think it was on Saturday, a video was posted online with Lacey Barnes, our three-time Carifta gold medalist, where she felt that she was wrongly handled by the Cayman Islands Athletics Association. So they're here now to clear the air on the situation and to talk more in regards to that particular situation. And we're going to let the President, Mr. Delroy Murray.
I better defer to Mr.
You want to defer to Mr. Francis? All right, let's start with our first Vice President, Mr. Francis. You want to take the lead here?
Right. So I haven't seen all of the videos. I have seen bits and pieces and received a million messages from athletes and parents and track folks alike.
So before you start, just to, and I should have done this before, by just telling them, apparently Lacey was escorted off of the field right, at the Carefta Games by armed security, which she felt she shouldn't have been, let off the field, I guess, by the security. So I'm thinking that may have been her main issue. Plus, she actually legally got her qualifications. However, it may not have been sanctioned by the governing body. So we're talking along those lines.
Okay.
We're going to address this situation.
That's fine. So before we get started, we haven't seen a lot of the athletes because they've been in the village.
Right.
So I just wanted to officially congratulate them on the air, and say what a stellar job they did. It's been 13 years since we've had an individual gold track medal.
I know, amazing.
And even better than that, it's the under 20 100 meter. So
it was
brilliant on all parts.
Such a great run too, huh? It was fantastic the way he came from behind there.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. AJ, I think most people have watched him grow from a tiny tot holding the flag behind him. It's funny because one of those pictures were shared with us with him at
CUT.
CUT meet when he won there. So again, great job, everyone. I don't want to leave out Mrs. Stone, a talent in and of itself,
oh, yes,
as we all know from last year.
And a 2-time gold medalist in the long jump event.
Right. Mm-hmm. So it's unfortunate that coming home is marred by, the incident regarding the accreditation for Mr. and Mrs. Riley. Mm-hmm. As the association, we're responsible for adhering to the rules of any competitions that we take athletes to. We're responsible for the safety of these athletes, and we're liable for anything that happens to these athletes. Saying that, the accreditation procedure is one that it's completed online. It goes to the organizing committee, and then the association says these people are accredited as part of Team Cayman. I wanna point out, this is in no way, unequivocally, not an attack on Miss Barnes or her husband. There's another coach in Bahamas, paid her way to go there, head coach of a club, approached Mr. Williams, Coach Williams, who is the accredited coach, one of the accredited coaches.
Okay.
She also requested accreditation into the stadium to coach her athlete. And Mr. Williams advised her, as rightfully so, that she couldn't get accreditation because our accreditation is based on quota, and we had met that quota. Regarding Miss Barnes, I don't take anything from her. She's a brilliant athlete. She's done Cayman proud, and rightfully so is, a Cayman sweetheart as it comes to track. I don't wish to take any of that from her. I have a daughter in track and field. So again, I wanna emphasize, because I've seen a lot of posts that were sent to me that, how can we do this to a young Caymanian athlete?
But it's not about that.
It's not about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's about following policies and protocol.
Okay.
There were 3 instances that I can, and we're not going to have enough time to go into all of the details of everything. So we plan on writing a proper chronological order of everything that has happened.
Okay.
And that will be issued by a statement. Ms. Barnes correctly said she filled out the application online, but this was after 3 previous attempts to be accredited via different means.
Okay.
And those will be expanded on in the statement. I won't address those here today. The accreditation was submitted to the organizing committee, as is correct.
The organizing committee, as in the Cayman
No.
abroad, the international one.
To Bahamas.
The Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At this point, we're in the Bahamas.
Right. Okay.
We did not. We're at this point. We have no clue that this has happened.
Mm-hmm.
On Saturday, the high jump was going on. We received a call. We were watching the high jump. Josh Gardner was jumping.
Okay.
We hoped he would have done better, but it wasn't his time or day.
Mm-hmm.
So we realized we didn't see Coach Williams. So we were trying to figure out what was going on. We received a call from Coach Dionne here in Cayman, advising us that a parent called him and wanted to know who was coaching his child. So we called Coach Williams, who was in a building behind the high jump, where he said Mr. Riley and Lacey are here helping.
Okay.
So that is when we found out that they had been accredited.
Okay.
We wrote to the organizing committee and said, it's come to our understanding that 2 coaches have been accredited. They're not part of the Cayman contingent that was sent to the Curfew Games. Mm-hmm. And we needed to have their accreditation revoked.
Okay.
Because you must realize that with they're being accredited to the Cayman Islands, we are now outside our quota.
Right.
Right. So, and understand the process. So, in Cayman, track is run, athletes are identified, coaching staff is identified, management staff is identified. This is done early in the season. We have to kind of guesstimate because we don't know what the curve the size is going to be yet. We had identified 2 coaches and 2 managers. Well, 2 coach, head coach, assistant coach, manager, assistant manager. There were Kendrick Williams, Jerry Holness, Miss Simone Savage, and Miss Paula Dawkins.
Right.
We have parent meetings where parents understand who will be safeguarding their children. These are the bodies that are identified to them as the bodies that go to Carifta.
Right.
When we wrote to NACAC and the organizing committee, we received a response that says, and I quote, "We at NACAC are shocked and embarrassed as you are. No athlete can be accredited to the Cayman Islands. No coach can be accredited to the Cayman Islands team without federation approval." Let me state this. The online system is open to anyone.
Right.
Now, we don't make these rules. We don't design these systems. We don't put these things in place. The system is open to anyone.
So, is
Dionne Anglin can go fill out an application
right.
and send it to the organization.
But would I be able to put that I'm representing the
Absolutely.
Cayman Islands?
We pick the country from a drop-down list.
Okay.
Is my understanding.
Okay.
That was submitted.
Mm-hmm.
Where the check happens is when the collection of the documents are to be had.
Right.
These documents were collected by one Pauline Davis of the Bahamas, who's an ex-sprinter.
Okay.
And the words that were used to us was they were snatched. And when she was advised that she could not do that, she said she will bear the full responsibility for this. That is how the accreditations were
obtained,
retrieved.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying, excuse me, I'm not saying that Mr. or Mrs. Riley was going to do any harm to our athletes. We're saying that we're responsible for the safety of the athlete. If anything happens under the watch of the association outside of this country, we are held liable.
Right.
The only coaches that were identified to parents traveling was the ones that I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Again, this will be fleshed out in detail and everything will be provided via a document. I don't know what much more I can say. I saw some things where there was, saying we did not provide physio to the athletes. We got in on Wednesday. Thursday we started the search for, Mr. Murray contacted a doctor friend of his over there and we had secured physiotherapists.
And massage therapists.
By
Thursday.
Friday night.
Right,
yeah,
they came Thursday.
Friday night for the first time and they were with the team for the entire meet. There was an incident regarding some footwear. The kid forgot his mom reached out to us. Needless to say, she was embarrassed. And all that happened was that the kid forgot his shoe in her car. We instructed Mr. Williams and the management team to get a pair of shoes for him. And I understand we told him to take a cab. Again, at this point, we had no idea that the Rileys were at the Breezes Hotel, which was the Carifta Village. Right. Mr. Williams said he asked Mr. Riley to take them to the store, which is what happened. But it was Mr. Williams that secured the shoes from a financial perspective for the
had you guys not bring awareness to the situation in terms of contacting the association in Bahamas about the Rileys, how would they have found out, or what's that process like?
There was no process.
Okay.
So again,
what would have happened to her then, being that you guys already filled the quota?
But we would have probably been charged.
Been fined. Okay.
And I don't know if fined is the right word. We probably would have had to pay.
Okay.
But again, it's not about the Rileys being on the field. It's about protocol that it established by the governing body for the Carifta Games, not being adhered to.
Okay. And my other question is, could this situation be handled differently in terms of her being escorted by armed security? And I use the term armed security very loosely because in the Cayman Islands, we don't have armed security.
Right.
But in countries like Bahamas and Trinidad and Jamaica, they walk with armed security to secure facilities. So it's not like they went to get the ammunition to come and get her. They actually had that protecting the premises.
Right.
So let's make that clear. But could that situation have been avoided where the embarrassment then of Bahamas and their security coming forward and escorting her out?
Okay, so again, we are governed by protocol.
Yeah.
Our engagement in this ends when we said we need to have the accreditation revoked. Okay. It is then taken on. Now, we watched it unfold in front of us.
Right.
The B3A president, he walked over towards, because he asked where they were. I said we instructed him to ask Coach Williams because he would probably know. And so he walked over with two inspectors in khaki suits. I did not see firearms. I'm not saying there weren't firearms. I'm saying I did not see firearms. They were walking with two 2-foot canes in their hands that that they do. They then walked, they had a short discussion with Coach Williams, and then they walked over to the warm-up area. I do not know what transpired over there.
Okay.
The next thing that we saw happen was the said B3A president walked Lacey Barnes back across towards us, holding her hand. I didn't know what was going on. There was no soldiers at that point.
Okay.
So she was escorted across to us, and for a meeting with us. We granted the meeting, and Mr. Maury, myself, and Miss Mothersill, we went to the meeting. That got a little heated, and we said we didn't really come there to argue. So the president of the B3A, he removed the accreditation, gave them to Mr. Maury, and we went back into the stands, and then he escorted Miss Barnes Riley back across to the warm-up area. Again, no security.
Let me just
guards.
fill that in, please.
Sure.
He came to me and he said, listen, okay, I will take away the accreditation because it should never have been granted. However, if I take the accreditation away, you realize that they can't stay in the facility, in the stadium, etc. And he said, would I have any objection to having taken away the accreditation to allow them to stay? And I said, we have no objection to that. That's fine with us.
So they were allowed to stay in the premises,
but not as an accredited official.
Right.
And that is what we went to then communicate, because I thought that was a sensible compromise to communicate to Ms. Barnes. And as Mr. Francis just said, certain things were said which were quite frankly offensive. And we said, look, we're leaving it in the hands of the B3As. And that's what we did.
Okay. And is Ms. Barnes Riley a qualified field coach?
The association has no certifications from her. I cannot speak to whether she's certified or not.
So, yeah, okay. All right, that answer. You were going to say something before I get to...
No, I was going to say we did not see how Mr. Riley was escorted from the premise.
Okay.
Or from the competition area, so
Okay.
I cannot speak to that.
All right, well...
But again, bear in mind, we have no control over what Bahamas protocol is for removing someone from a venue.
Right, and that's clearly understandable, of course. Why, seeing that she, according to her, was is very good with the athletes, and she trained them. I'm not sure for how long. You guys can clarify that as well. Right. She trained some of the field athletes. Why was she not selected? Especially being a 4-time Carifta gold medalist and having that sort of experience in the field, why was she not selected to help?
There's a selection committee.
Yeah.
And again, this was, I believe the management team was identified back in November of 22.
It's late 2022.
Right. Again, all of these details will be in there. As to why she wasn't selected, I don't know that Miss Barnes has been training these athletes for that long. Okay. As per Mr. Yen's posting that was forwarded to me, they're not her athletes. I spoke to Miss Dawkins. Miss Dawkins advised that Mr. Williams is Yaneli's coach, and that Lacey assists. And I think Mr. Yen, he spoke for himself on the chat.
And what about Andrew Stone and Chen? Who were their coaches?
Patricia Bent. Miss Patricia Bent is the coach of Andrew. And
Mr. Yen is the coach of
AJ.
Stone.
And
Mr. Yen?
Mr. Yen is,
and he made that plain to us when he spoke.
But he made that plain to the public
plain
in his posting to this situation.
Okay. Will there, will the policies or will there policies that needs to be reviewed? Will there be policies that need to be reviewed and revised going forward, do you think, after something like this?
Right.
Because that means anyone can pick up and do something similar.
Right. So again, that is outside of our purview. We have zero control over that. We don't have any. That agreement is between NACAC and the organizing country. And there's a memorandum of understanding between them, and a technical manual is written by the organizing country and approved by NACAC, and that is where the direction comes from in terms of how this works. The systems and stuff, no individual country has any control over what that looks like. Right. They tell you what the accreditation process is.
Okay. And what happens next going forward? I mean, are there going to be any repercussions?
Well, not on our side. We certainly wish Mr. and Mrs. Riley all the best. We don't have any harsh feelings or any anti-feelings against them. It's just that we were bound by a protocol.
Right.
And we had to abide by the protocol. And it's unfortunate that it may have transpired that Miss Barnes feels slighted at the very least. I'm not going to say that.
I think
what you must appreciate where we are bound and where we are coming from. And this was not in any way meant to cause any harm or any sort of aspersion on the Rileys. Yeah. The fact is that we would be in breach of the established rules.
Right.
Yeah. And Dionne, I just wanna I'm at every track meet. I think you know that.
Yes.
And we're hurting for people to help. There's no doubt.
Right.
So are we willing to work with Mr. and Mrs. Riley? Absolutely. But again, you got to respect people that have been doing this for a lot longer than they have. And there's, you have to come and you have to know the policies and you have to know the procedures. And frankly, you have to abide by them. Otherwise we get ourselves in trouble. We've been trying to fix the reputation of this organization for 16 months now. And it's unfortunate that this had to go down the way it went down,
Yeah, I think what's the main issue I'm gathering is the escorting.
Right.
Again, we had no control.
I think what the comments that people were making is why the association didn't go get her first.
We couldn't get her because
so
that is a matter for the LOC to deal with.
Yes.
We are the guest of the LOC. We saw an infringement, and we properly reported it.
Right.
After that is the LOC who deals with it.
Right.
We didn't see any police escort.
I mean, it's interesting because if I had my accreditation here, I would show you. We actually don't have access to the competition area.
Okay.
Technically, we're not supposed to be there unless we're
Right.
escorted. So, there's very strict rules around how these things work, and this is completely outside of our control. It is what it is.
All right. Well, I'm glad you guys are here to clear it up. We'll also, and I'm sure I alerted both of you, I should say, that Miss Lacey will be here next for us to hear her side as well. But I don't want this situation to overshadow how great these athletes performed as well. Absolutely. We had 2 gold medals.
Yes.
It was wonderful watching Andrew Stone and Devontae Howell, gold in the 100 meter and gold in the long jump.
Yes.
Right? And then we had Anthony Chin Jr. with the bronze in the long jump, who I spoke to today at the airport, where he said he really did not expect to get a medal. He's
being modest.
Yeah.
Man. He's being modest.
He probably is.
The boy is talented.
He is very talented. But, sometimes you go to these competitions and you see the crowd and you see the other athletes and you get intimidated. And you know what? He said, I just went out there and I performed. Just went out there and I performed. I really didn't expect a medal, but I'm really glad I did.
Yeah, I mean, he handled the pressure like a champ.
He
you
did.
know, his first time in Carifta, and I mean, he's young, right? So
yes.
we might get an additional 2 years out of him under 17.
Yeah.
Probably one.
He's what, 15?
He's 15.
He's 15.
So I'm not sure.
We'll probably get one more out of him at
in the under
17 level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I think we have one more year of Stone in the under 20.
Yeah.
And we didn't expect him.
We
didn't either.
We did.
No, but he because he was in an older field as well, right? And he's very young.
No, but he won last year.
He won last year, but he won in the under 17.
Yeah.
But he's competing again against the youngsters whom he had beaten.
You had beaten
in
in
the
okay.
under 17.
Good. Awesome. It's so good. What about the ones that didn't get a chance to medal, like Yaneli Dawkins? She was so close.
So Yaneli PB'd, and I believe Brianna PB'd.
Yes.
I haven't heard of any more as yet. I mean, the team was... So we tried to take some development, and again... It's not something you have to do as an association, right? Because technically, you set the rules, but only 8 people qualified.
Right.
By the standards.
Okay.
And
remind me of how many athletes you took again?
We took 21.
21. Okay.
So, the other 12 or 13 were development athletes.
Okay.
I mean, I think everybody did their thing. I'm hoping it was a learning experience. It's funny because like Michelin, it's interesting. Michelin is used to tearing everybody up here. You know what I mean? And he went there and he didn't win his heat. And I'm hoping that things like that teach you to look.
Either make you or break you. Huh?
Look outside the Cayman. You know what I mean? And again, it's development, right? So you hope that the kids really take away the lesson that I got to compete in the wider region than just local.
And it's not just me, but I noticed a lot of the Jamaican athletes were not present.
Yes.
Why was that?
I believe because of the club.
No, they have a trials, Carifta trials, which a number of their top athletes do not go to because it is so close to champs.
Right.
And champs is like
it's bigger than Carifta.
Bigger than Carifta.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but
no. Any of our athletes will be going to champs?
We had one year this year in Jaden Reed.
Jaden.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the one that just finished with Jaden coming third, getting bronze in the 100 and 200?
Yes, that's the champs we're talking about.
Yes, okay, athletics champs.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, was good.
Well, is there anything else that you guys would like to make mention? I know this was a very intense and tough situation for you all.
Yeah.
And I know it was rough coming on here having to clarify all this and knowing you didn't want it to overshadow what just took place over the Easter break, you know. But, it's good that you guys came out here and said what you said. Now it's her turn to let's hear what she has to say.
Just in closing, just want to say there are no hard feelings
yes.
from the association side. We simply followed the rules as it was laid out. And after making the report, we really had nothing else to do in the matter, save and except being asked to, can you compromise the situation in terms of us taking the accreditation and then telling them they have to leave? Would you have any objection to their staying? And we said we have no problem.
So then they were able to stay.
Well, I hope so.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, and Dionne, if I could, we do a pretty horrible job of communicating.
The association.
Yes.
Yes.
That was not necessary. Yeah. But anyway, so I just wanted, if I could take 2 minutes and just point out some of what we've actually achieved.
Yes, go right ahead.
As the body. So we went in November 2021. Right. Since then, we've purchased a new camera system. We've built a new website, built an integrated database, membership database into that website.
Okay.
Establish an online registration system for our track meets. For the first time in over a decade, we have a new corporate sponsor. And like I said earlier, I truly hope this situation doesn't overshadow that. I believe the words the sponsor used was, they're taking a chance on us. And I hope the chance survives, this incident. We currently have on the table a proposal for psychological.
Yeah,
that.
Or at least dealing with sports is not just physical, but also psychological.
Yes, of course.
A number of times when you go to these meets and you are coming from a small country, you feel overshadowed.
Of
so
course.
we're trying to address that mental aspect of the sport as well, rather than just mere physical. We have also done meetings explaining how to get into colleges in the United States, what needs to be done. So it is not just running, jumping, throwing thing. We're trying to look at it as a holistic, because our athletes are really school athletes.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we've grown participation. We're getting officials back out at the field, and again, welcome the help from Mr. and Mrs. Riley. It's not like we don't need the help, So we provide transportation to our meets now from our Northeast schools and from our West Bay schools. So, it's not that we're not trying, and this is all just 16 months. So, and again, we're all volunteers. We do not get paid for this.
Yes.
I believe you missed a meet because it ran on time. Right?
But that was
just saying.
Okay.
And running them on time is actually now the norm.
It's now the norm.
It's now the norm.
Okay, I know now. Sometimes I say, I'll give them a good 20 minutes.
No.
I can't do that no more.
Give us 3 hours.
Yeah, true. Now, I have to say the interscholastics, the interprimary and the intersecondary, that was run really smoothly as well.
Yeah, so unfortunately that wasn't us this year because we were inundated with meets, but we had conversations.
But you all were still there.
Yeah, we were. There. Yeah, we did. We ran the timing, and most of our officials were there. Okay. But we do hope to work with education to get that as a sanctioned meet. And, again, we might shuffle some things around next year, but we'll see how that goes.
Alrighty. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Thank you for clarifying that. I'm sure Mrs. Barnes-Riley heard the conversation, so when she gets in, let's hear what she has to say.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with Lacey Barnes-Riley in a minute.
The annual business surveys being conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office, ESO, from April 11th to June 16th seek to collect information needed to answer these questions. How did the economy perform in 2022? In 2022, how much did foreign companies invest in the Cayman Islands? The surveys include all relevant entities that produce goods and services in the Cayman Islands. The surveys are confidential under the Statistics Act and are exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. Your response matters. Do your part. Fill out and return your survey forms to the ESO. Remember, better data, better decisions, better business. For assistance in filling up the forms or for more information, visit www.eso.ky or call 244-4676 or 244-4600.
The Ministry of Education invites eligible Caymanians to apply for an Education Council Local Scholarship for the 2023-2024 academic year. To apply for a local scholarship or learn more about various scholarship offerings, please visit the Scholarship Secretariat Unit's website at www.moescholarships.gov.ky. Applications close on Sunday, April 30th, 2023. Brought to you by the Ministry of Education.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by CG Britke. Insurance, health, pensions, life, where people come first.
HSA's cardiology clinic is now located at Smith Road Medical Center. Our cardiology team provides expert care and treatment for heart conditions such as coronary artery disease, heart failure, arrhythmias, hypertension, congenital heart diseases, among others. The new location offers state-of-the-art cardiac diagnostic testing, including echocardiograms, ECGs, and stress tests. To contact, call 949-8600. At HSA, your heart matters to us.
The annual business surveys are ongoing. The surveys are conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office, ESO, and seek to measure the economic performance of all local industries. The ESO sincerely thanks those who participated in last year's survey. The survey forms were mailed or emailed to all relevant entities operating in the Cayman Islands. The surveys are confidential under the Statistics Act and are exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. Your response matters. Do your part. Fill out and return your survey forms to the Economics and Statistics Office. For assistance in filling up the forms or for more information, visit www.eso.ky or call 244-4676 or 244-4600. Better data, better decisions, better business.
Radio Cayman, the voice, the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Alrighty, welcome back to Radio Cayman Sports Extra, and we have three-time Curve to Gold medalist in the studio with us, Mrs. Lacey Barnes Riley. It's my first time introducing you as Mrs. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's a very sensitive topic today,
it is.
And we heard from the governing body. They addressed the situation. I'm hoping that you heard some of it, if not all, just so you can share with us your experience on the matter and your feelings and how you felt about the situation and what occurred. So we're going to start with you just sharing with us, Lacey, what happened.
Yeah. So just a clip note version, because I'm pretty sure most people know the gist of what's happened. My husband and I decided to attend the Curfta Games because we've been in charge of some athletes training exclusively, some athletes and others assisting. So we decided to attend because I knew that typically it's only two coaches because of the team size. So I wanted to make sure that these athletes had as much attention and help as they could get. I asked the Association for accreditations. I asked Ms. Dionne Mothersill. She said she'd get back to me. When she got back, she said that due to the team size and the quota, they can only have two coaches that they can pay for. I said, okay. I asked again weeks later because I spoke to people in Bahamas that told me otherwise. The quota thing is correct, but I was told that I could get accreditation regardless, especially if I'm paying for myself. I brought this up. I got the same response. Therefore, I signed up online through the correct process. I got my accreditation. I got verified on who I was and where I'm from. My husband and I, we started coaching from Thursday. We came to the training session. When the coaches and the managers saw that we were there, they were happy and they asked if we could come to the training session Friday morning. Okay. And we were there 7 a.m. Friday morning.
In Bahamas?
In Bahamas. Mm-hmm. We are in Bahamas. We were actually been asked to come and coach at the training sessions. So Coach Williams asked if we'd be there. Mrs. Paula Dawkins asked if I would be there to coach her daughter because I am in charge of her daughter's trainings explicitly. That's what I was asked for a few weeks ago, to be in charge of her training. that's happened. Saturday, we went to the track and we went to Coach Williams and we said, hey, Kate, here, where do you want us? And immediately we were told where to go. We were coaching and, I thought all was well until Sunday morning came. My girls were at shop, but I was told I could not coach them. I passed Mr. Doney and I did not know what was going on. And then shortly after, we were told that our association reported us to the NACAC Federation and World Athletics, and we were being asked to leave the games, and they were accompanied by armed soldiers.
Okay. They said they didn't know about the armed situation, but you were closer to them because they came to you. You did see guns, or was it batons, or was it...
That's probably a good clarification. All I know is in the moment, it seemed very aggressive. They were holding on to their sides. That could have been guns. That could have been batons. The point is, it was a very grossly unnecessary something to witness, especially in front of the team.
What did you think should have happened, seeing that they did not give you the accreditation, or you were, because of the quota, you were not allowed to go? So, to represent under the Cayman umbrella, how do you believe they should have handled it?
So I just want to clarify that real quick, because there is a misconception that I know there's been an idea that, we overstepped the rules and we could have put the Cayman team in jeopardy. I myself took a look at the technical manual for CRIF 2023 this year. And this quota situation that they're talking about is what I already knew from the beginning. This quota situation refers to accommodations, where you have, because of the team size, they can only have 2 coaches that they can pay for, that is covered, and that they can stay in the village, food covered, accreditation covered, everything like that. Okay. In the technical manual, it clearly states, if you want to have additional coaches, you can pay $150 US per day for that coach.
If who wants to have additional coaches? If the association wants...
And okay. That is if they want to add, in addition to the quota, to have an additional coach stay in the village.
Right.
Stay in the village. Now, let's make it clear. My husband and I, we are not affecting the quota because we are not staying in the village. We are not asking to be paid for by the association. We are not taking up any room in the athlete space in the village that is affecting this quota. We are completely on our own separately, and the online forum is meant for additional coaches who pay their own way to come and get their own accreditation and coach their personal athletes if they want.
Okay, I understand. Now, because they're saying that the accreditation, the quota was for the team that was there. So there were 21 athletes, right?
Yes.
21 athletes and 4 coaches?
21 athletes. I guess I got my numbers wrong because I forgot they added a relay team late. 21 athletes, 2 coaches, and 2 managers.
2 coaches.
No physios, no team doctors.
But he clarified that they got physio there. They called and they could have their connections and they got physio there, so they had a physiotherapist. And coaches in terms of field coaches you're referring to?
Yeah, so they only have 2 official coaches on the team. The other 2 ladies were just team managers. They are not coaches in any capacity.
Okay. How long have you been a coach?
So in terms of my coaching profession, since I moved back home in November, that's when I've started coaching. I've been under the regimen of Coach Williams. He found me in my sporting career, and I was quickly asked by him to please, hey, are you coming back to coach?
Yeah.
Is your husband coming here to coach? And we're like, yeah, we are, of course. But, even though I may have a short coaching career, what's not to be misunderstood is experience.
Right.
I've been competing for the last 12 years, and I've had the privilege to be coached under, my university coaches in America and Coach Paul of Grenada, world-class coach. So when I come back home, I'm coming back home with genuine knowledge to share with these athletes.
Why do you think they did what they did?
It baffles me today because the way how the situation was handled, because the main point that I wanted to get across today was how this was handled.
Yeah.
When it comes to the accreditation and the legitimacy of it, I know I'm fine. I know I was right. I got confirmation from the Bohemian President Athletic Association that the way I went about my accreditations was very much legal.
Right.
I got that confirmation from him.
And they said that as well. That was not the issue.
Yeah, so, that alone should not have been made me allowed to be escorted. But I think what was the most painful situation was I'm pretty sure those 3 in the executive knew I was in Bahamas and I had accreditation from Thursday. Why do I say this? Because one of the team managers is an executive. I'm pretty sure this went around. She was asking, what capacity are we here in? We said we're coaches. Therefore, that means to me, the executive is aware we are here.
Right.
If you knew from Thursday we were here and you were going to have a problem with this, I could have been contacted. Mr. Dionne has my number. And then if Mr. Murray and Mr. Osbert don't have my number, come on. It's easy.
They should be able to
get it. Or I was with Coach Williams majority of the time. It is easy to call Coach Williams to get in touch. You knew from Thursday I had my accreditation. Or even Saturday when you just saw me for the first time on the field. You could have called me after the morning session or Saturday night.
So your main issue here is how you were handled or escorted.
It's how I was escorted and the lack of communication with my own federation, because it feels like it was a blatant attack to embarrass me. Because again, I could have been contacted even Saturday night or Sunday morning when I was walking to shop to coach the two ladies. I saw Mr. Dionne talking to Coach Williams, and at this point, the order had already been made. Why was I not told then, hey, you shouldn't be here right now because something's about to go down? Why let me stand there and look like a fool? I'm wearing Cayman clothes. And then you've had me escorted off in front of the Cayman team and other countries neighboring right next to us.
Did you think for one instant that they just did not want you there?
I've had my difficulties with the association since I've been back home. And it's actually been quite shocking to me. And it's very disheartening to me as a young Caymanian to come back home and to experience these hardships, especially because this is very personal to me. I'm recently married. My husband is Jamaican national. He still is actively competing and to represent Jamaica. Okay. However, he works in the schools, and then he comes home. He comes to the track. He trains, and then he coaches the athletes.
Is he a qualified coach?
So right now, no, we're both not certified coaches. Okay. But the good thing is, since we've been home, these local club coaches most of them have, seen what we can do. And what's also important to note is any athlete that we've been asked to coach, we've been given the explicit permission from the club coach, whether that's Coach Tyrone, Coach Porter, and Coach Williams. We don't poach athletes. We're here to help anyone who's asked. But the most hurtful thing is that since we've been here, it seems that we've experienced a lot of pushback. A lot of people don't know this, and you're probably the first person to hear this. We had a situation a few weeks ago at a local track meet where my husband decided to open his professional season in the long jump. He was competing in the long jump open event with his other two athletes that he was coaching at the time.
Where is this?
This is in Cayman.
In Cayman, okay.
This is in Cayman. He checked into the call room to compete with the athletes. While he was there, he was not warming up at the time because of the weather conditions, so he was trying to, feel if he was going to compete or not. And while waiting to see if he was going to compete, his athletes are warming up and they're coming to him, hey, Coach Riley, how's our run up and stuff. And there was a comment made, coaches are not supposed to be down there. Yet, these people don't realize that my husband is competing as well.
Okay, so he was competing, he was not coaching.
Yes, because in that moment, once he's checked in and ready to compete, he can tell anyone any tips who he wants to, right? Because he's about to compete, he can talk to anyone. A complaint was made that coaches should not be down there, and this is where the lack of communication comes in again.
Right. So did he make it clear that he was not a coach, he's actually competing?
In this moment, yes.
Yes.
He told the official, hey, based on the win, I'm going to see how I'm going to play this out, but I'm still here. I might jump still, A complaint was made. Mr. Osbert came to him, told him to leave. No question, no communication, told him to leave. Obviously, my husband did not leave because he's going to jump. He may jump.
Right.
Another official came, said to leave. He didn't leave, and they called security to escort my husband out of the long jump pit. So you see, this whole...
So they did not know that he was competing? They weren't aware?
I don't know who else he needed to make it clear to that he was competing. He checked in at the call room.
Because when you're competing, you have something on that shows that you're competing, don't
Actually, no. At the Cayman track meets, what I realized is that only the coaches get bands. Okay. So if you are not a coach, if you're an athlete, you don't have a band. So in this capacity, my husband is an athlete. He told the necessary official, I'm going to wait out till the wind. But, this is where the lack of communication comes in. And this is where this pattern of calling security and escorting people without proper communication is apparent. So that's why when this situation occurred, this is deja vu to me and my husband.
If they did not know that he was competing, though, it is right to call security for someone who does not belong there in their eyes.
No, definitely
to protect the other athletes, right?
So. But the thing is, he checked in the call room. He walked through with the athletes because where he's coming from, he's clearly an athlete.
Right.
He told the officials that are there for long jump.
And he's registered as an athlete.
He's registered and he's checked in. When the complaint was made from a coach above that does not know who he is and, not thinking that he's jumping, when Mr. Osbert came to confront him, why was it not asked in that moment, hey, are you an athlete or a coach?
Right, so nothing was asked.
No.
You just ushered him out.
Just ushered him out.
Okay.
So, that's why I'm saying this pattern of this lack of communication, that's a problem. So when you asked me if I think that the association did not want me there, I don't want to say yes and, try to shake up something that might or might not be there. But as I said, the past few months since I've been home, my reception with the association not been good. We filed a complaint on that situation. We've yet to hear anything. When I asked Mr. Murray about it in front of others, he said he does not know. He's just a messenger.
Okay. I'm going to go right along and play devil's advocate here. If you felt that the association did not want you there, why did you go?
Because this is about the athletes. This has always been about the athletes. I'm not here to, please this association. I'm about the athletes. I know for a fact that the athlete that I've been coaching, where I'm in charge of her program, that I know she would have appreciated me being there. And I asked her, I said, hey, you want me to be there? She's asked me, the day before, are you going to be there when I throw? I said, I'm working on it. Her mother, same thing. You're going to be there while she competing? Yes, I am. I got the pass. This is about the athletes. And the thing is, we have to remember, these kids are young.
Right.
And the two coaches situation, it obviously proves that it doesn't work. I've been to 6 CURFTAs where I see that 2 coaches is not enough.
Right.
So the fact that I knew this coming in, I was like, well, hey, we can go to CURFTA and we can help coach.
Right.
Because we know most of these athletes. We do.
But, for example, if I take it upon myself and say, I am going to go to the Island Games and coach basketball, I don't have the association's blessing. They already have their coaching quota. Me going there and taking it upon myself and going to that tournament, they have all rights to throw me out. Or to come to me, like you say, and say, Dionne, why are you here? We already have our coaches. Our coaches are filled. So your issue here is not necessarily what they did, but how they did it.
It's how they did it, yes. I think I could have been communicated properly. But just to even address the coaching situation in terms of not wanting to be there, I think it has to be cleared up that track and field is a special sport. This is an individual sport. It's different if it's a basketball team where the team is, it's a team, obviously, so there can't be more than one coach. Right. One coach has his...
About three coaches.
Yeah, but, those coaches together have a plan.
Right.
We have to remember track and field is an individual sport.
Right.
It is not uncommon. It is actually very common for athletes to have their personal coaches appear at these international track. It's extremely common. We've seen... There is an athlete on the team that has personal coach. Right. Nothing's wrong with that. Even just walking across, I'm seeing 2 Jamaican high jumpers being coached by their Ohio State University coach. This is very common. So even if I came there to coach one individual athlete because I was her personal coach, that is common. Right. There's nothing new about that.
Okay. So I could only go based on what they said previously in terms of the quota. You were not allowed on the facility because of the quota, and they could have been not necessarily fined, but they would have had to pay a fee because there was an extra coach on the field that should not have been.
Yeah, it makes no sense what they're saying. Because again, when you look at the technical manual, this quota situation is only referring to accommodations.
Right, and you did not stay where they were staying.
No.
So is it a matter of representing under the Cayman umbrella, or should you have gone as a different coach for a different country?
That's what I thought was so funny. When I spoke to the Bahamian coach, because I did the Bahamian athletic president, I did ask him. I said, "Hey, did I go about this wrong?" And he said, "No, you absolutely went about this the right way. You applied. You went on." He said the only issue was you had Cayman on your pass, and because of that, automatically you are representing your country at this point.
Right.
So the if the association does have a problem, they can make a complaint. So
Right.
in that moment, that just tells me that you all just didn't want me to be there.
Right.
And then that raises the question to me where, okay, if I was allowed to be there, because this quota thing only affected the accommodation, so I was very much allowed to be on that field. The BMEM president confirmed that to me. So the only problem was that you just did not want me there, and my husband. But to whose benefit?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you ask Coach Williams or, the other coach, it was clear we were needed. And we didn't ask to go anywhere to help us. We were told, please, can you go look at this athlete? Please, can you go try to find the physios? Please, can you do this and that?
And being needed is very different from getting permission to be somewhere where you shouldn't be. So even though you might have been needed, if the association, any association, did not give you the permission to be there, don't you think they have a right to react the way they did?
In this capacity, no.
Okay.
Again, my accreditation is very legal to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I am allowed to be at that track.
Right.
I did nothing wrong to get the accreditation.
Okay.
I got that confirmed.
So where do we go from here now with you and the association? I heard that there were apologies made. Did you have to make an apology when you were there?
Me?
Were there I heard about that.
Oh, so I did make an apology.
Yeah, what was that about and why?
Yeah, so in my recorded video, I did name some athletes, and I did apologize for that aspect. In the heat of the moment, I think, it was just passion talking, and I don't want to bring up an athlete's name if it has nothing to do with what their sport. So that's where the apology was heard. In terms of apologies to the association, no, I think they owe me an apology.
Okay.
But that's it from there.
Yeah. Where do you want to go with this now? How do we go forward from here? Because you are a national athlete, one of our greatest field athletes that we have in the country, and now there's a rift between you and the association. Although here on this platform, they said they have nothing against you. You can continue doing what you do because you are great at what you do. Their words exactly. They have no problem. However, what you have done may have caused disrepair with the international body, and that's something of concern. That's not up to them. But as far as you and them, they're fine. How do you continue in a more positive, environment with them going forward? Like, what do you think needs to be done next?
I think that this association has a history of these negative behaviors with their current athletes and parents.
Yeah.
There has been so much other issues that I personally been, directly messaged about and, being praised for speaking out.
Yeah.
In terms of the association, I think it's a case of that they need to be, I'm not going to say they all need to resign, but something needs to be done because it is a pattern of unjust treatment towards athletes. Mm-hmm. There were so much former athletes that told me they left the association because the same people in the executive, not caring about the athletes and not having their best interests at heart.
Right.
So in terms of my relation with the association, right now there is a rift. I don't know when that's going to be mended because...
But there needs to be a talk because we want more of Lacey Barnes. We were looking forward to you being an Olympian.
What's unfortunate about it, saying that there needs to be a talk, they had the chance to talk to me. They didn't have to embarrass me like that at foreign grounds. Again, they could have contacted me immediately, but they did not. So, as far as I'm concerned, the time for communication, it will come.
Okay.
But it'll come under the right channels and at the right time.
Okay.
But, I don't think the association, they don't appreciate what I have to offer, and they don't appreciate young Caymanians coming back and giving back. Because it is this idea where people are in these positions for so long and they like the way things are for them.
Right.
And when someone like me comes in with fresh ideas and, really wants best interests, I'm getting things done, I'm almost looked at as a threat.
Okay.
And that's how I feel right now. And before that, I don't feel comfortable with this association.
So
what's going to happen?
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
You're going to be the next Olympian in the field category. I keep talking. I've always spoke it, Lacey.
My future for competing for Cayman, it is in question right now.
Yeah. Is it because of this situation or previous?
Yes.
Something?
I don't know how I can work under
feel?
this association. I don't know how it's going to, as I said, right now it's too raw.
Right.
But.
Well, when things die down, I hope that there's a talk. you guys can come to some sort of compromise and there's apologies made. I hope they apologize to you. You feel like you need an apology, and if you feel that way, an apology should be given to you. And let's see what happens from there. And not to take away from, everything that has happened, I know you went there for a reason. You represented some of the athletes that you said parents and the athletes wanted you there themselves. What are your views before we go on how the athletes performed, especially in your field category?
I think in terms of my field category, my athletes, they still have some stuff to work on. I did congratulate them on their performances because at the end of the day, how you feel after the event, that's all on you. And,
Right.
I told them that don't allow anything else to affect you. But, just as all Cayman athletes, there's room for improvement. And, that room for improvement comes in a lot of ways. And it's not just our athletes. It's just, what's been given to them. We need a lot more things. We need access to physios. We need a gym at the track.
Yeah.
Our athletes need a lot more attention. But, that's what I'm here
There's
to do.
a psychological aspect to it as well. You shared with me on the show a time before of things that happened to you mentally, in preparing for particular competitions.
And I'm glad you say that because that's what's important to me. When I'm at this track, I don't want anyone to take for granted because, there's been some perceptions made that, my husband and I were just coming here to take over athletes. And I'm saying to myself, when I'm at this track, I'm not just coaching. I'm like giving life lessons.
You love what you do. And I'm glad you're making that clear because I believe that as well. You love what you do. You're very passionate. And one thing we know about you, Lacey Barnes, you're going to get, and you said it yourself on the show before, you are going to make sure that you get what you want, right? And that's understandable. And that's good. That's actually a good trait. It's not a bad trait. So even they were not clear, as you said, they were not clear on stating that they did not want you there. They went around the roundabout way and they said they didn't have the quota or they didn't have enough. So you found another way and you went and you got there. And that's you.
And that's another thing, too. The fact that the argument is fully based on this quota thing, that is fully only about the accommodations, warrants an apology.
Yeah.
Because I don't affect the quota in this capacity.
I'm glad you mentioned that, and I hope they're listening because definitely they will need to apologize if that's the case. That's what I think. And I'm not here for my opinions.
Oh, definitely.
But I hope you don't think I was too hard on you. I question them as well.
Yeah.
And I need to question you as well because I want fairness and I want you to give your side. And sometimes when I ask these questions, someone on the outside is thinking it. So then you giving your answer is what they need. Yeah. So thank you so much for stopping by. The next time you're on my show, it'll be for more positive. It'll be for something more positive. It'll be about the athletes and hopefully it's you coaching these athletes, you and your husband. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. That's it for tonight's edition of Sports Extra. Sports Extra is about giving you the latest information on all sporting activities here in the Cayman Islands. If you would like the opportunity to be featured on our show, or if you have any questions, please email me at sportsextracayman@gmail.com. You can check out our Radio Cayman Sports Extra social media pages to keep updated with all sporting activities. Or you can also log on to Radio Cayman's YouTube channel for tonight's edition of Sports Extra. Lacey Barnes, thank you very much. Thank you to the association who stopped by earlier, the Cayman Islands Athletics Association, that is. I'm Dionne Anglin. Thank you for tuning in. Good night and God bless. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at Radio Cayman Sports Extra.
As a coach, I thoroughly agree. The athlete has just qualified for the World Championship on a bigger stage in a bar. The guys have we've been training for the last 5 months now, so they're in the real highest spirit that they could do well.
It was really infectious. I mean, for a 4-day meet with 2 sessions each day, that's pretty exhausting. And these kids were just rocking the whole weekend.
Radio Cayman, the voice, the heart, the soul of the Cayman